Living by the water has had a huge influence on my work. And I realize it's not something I just want to paint. It's something I'm trying to understand. Not what it looks like, but what it feels like, what it holds, its energy, its memory. That has led me down an unexpected path. Instead of asking, what should I create today? I've been asking, what does this thread want to teach me next? This video is for you if you've ever found yourself forcing your creativity or wondering what to make next. I'll show you why I love working with muted tones that don't shout, how they create space for quiet layers and subtle rhythms, and why following one creative thread can lead you toward a more authentic visual language, your true art. You don't have to know where the thread will lead. You simply have to be willing to follow it. Even on stormy days, there's a quietness to it. And that's why I keep returning to muted blues. I mostly use muted tones in all of my work. Colors softened with gray. Here, I'm softening it with a neutral, unbleached titanium. And I've selected a group of blues: turquoise, light blue, Payne's gray, and phthalo cyan, which is a very powerful blue. Using them in different ways, different mixes, I'm allowing the colors to breathe. Colors that have room for mystery, especially the dark tones. And on the right, that's black, and above it is titanium white. So it's very simple to create muted tones. And I'm not trying to match the color in a representational form. I'm looking for that feeling. I'm trying to match the feeling it leaves behind. Using the opposite color of blue on the color wheel, which is of course orange, I selected some cadmium orange, which was very, very bright, this one, and you only need a tiny bit at the tip of your brush. And of course, I'm making these pages as a reference, a resource for the future. I don't spend a lot of time with this kind of exploration, mostly because it's not how I paint, and it's not how you paint either, I think. So just to try some, make references, and maybe circle or star the ones that I really like before I go and create my rhythm papers and use the Gelli plate printer, which is another great place to explore muted blues as well. Here I'm using good old Mars black. You can use ivory black. You can also use just gray. Get a gray, a lovely gray, or make your own, and then add that to each color. There's many ways to create muted tones, especially blue. I call these my rhythm papers because it's where I explore movement, I slow down, and I mostly like to let my hand lead the way, or my opposing hand. And before these papers ever become collage, they become a place to explore movement, the rhythm of the water, whatever element I'm exploring at the time. Some rhythms feel calm, others feel restless. Some seem to disappear until you look more closely, and those are my very, very, I would say, transparent rhythm papers. I'm not deciding which ones are successful or not. That's not how I choose. It's how they show that feeling. That's what I'm searching for. And of course, if you're doing a similar exploration, you will also resonate with a different kind of feeling or movement or energy. I'm simply noticing which one or which group of rhythms continues to call me back. These are my support papers, I call them. They're not meant to be the star of the page, of course, but they're quiet backgrounds with subtle energy. And this support paper, of course, I'm using direct painting and, of course, a wedge because it really thins out that paint. And I don't want them to be rhythm papers so much as I want them to be, or to have, a quiet energy. They're a gentle transition. And on the artwork, they're places where the eye can rest. And I've learned that not every paper needs to demand attention. Sometimes the quiet papers are the ones that allow everything else to breathe. When I'm creating my direct painting papers here, my support papers, it's amazing how so many different sequences of layers and combinations can create, using the same 3 colors, such different papers. So it's important to, once you get into that sequence, if you want to create the same, it's much better to do a whole bunch at the same time while you're in that particular mode of creating. So I'm letting my hand lead. I did have an intention here with this very thin, I believe it's rice paper. And it was just soaking up so nicely, and I did some drips, and I thought, well, I haven't done splashes yet. So I'm just following. None of these papers, yes, I had a general intention, but I'm letting things evolve naturally. This is how I'm discovering my authentic voice. I'm not forcing, I'm not performing, or else I'm trying not to perform, especially under pressure, and just letting things flow like water. I decided to try some block printing paper. I just looked through my studio using what I already have, and I know that if it's for printing, it would be more, it would have an absorption more than other papers. So I found that out, but I thought it was very interesting how it soaked up the water. Then I just decided to do some more pouring. I like this sort of aqua with the manganese or a very blue combination. And I'm just having fun exploring how water moves. Then I decided, well, let's add some dark. This is indigo blue acrylic ink. And I've used India ink as well. And I've not used a lot of inks so far in my art practice, but I really think I want to explore those for their deep, mysterious tones. So this is really interesting. Just playing and exploring and having fun. So this is, I believe, the medical paper. And it did not turn out so well because as I let it dry, I left it on the paper underneath, but it stuck to it. Watercolor would not do that so much, so I wanted that drippy effect of somewhat of a shape, but then it bleeding into the paper. So I need to explore this more because I really like this effect. It has it's the repetition, but changing the circles. I kept them in a grid formation. They can be wide, they can be, I know you can change the energy by putting them close together, farther apart. And this is another way that water behaves or that energy behaves. So I'm going to explore that further as well. So it's important that you stay long enough with something until things start to naturally evolve and appear. Inky puddles of blue. I realize I have not done any puddles yet. So this blue ink is so very bright. I have to tone it down all the time. I love bright colors, but in my own work, I'm not, they shout, they yell. But I really love bright colors too. But right now, blues and muted tones is what my heart is wanting. So using the spray bottle, this is a piece of cartridge paper that allows the water to sit on the surface. It's a little thicker, which makes it very interesting as a collage piece. And I just let these air dry. But stay with me as I change my mind and do something very interesting, because my curiosity just had the better of me. I'm putting in just a nice neutral to change it up. I think the ink is a little old, so it got thick, or maybe I just didn't shake it enough. Some white ink, just to see how they would all mix together. So it came to mind as I was going to move it, and going, oh, how am I going to move it with this excessive puddle? So I thought, well, let's put a piece of newsprint on top, let it soak up, and then I'll have twice as many, but with twice collage papers, but with a surprise, because who knows what's going to happen. I love surprises. And I love the result. So I will remember to do this in many other ways in the future. So I'll make a note in my art journal there that I started with today, especially, or another notebook or a piece of paper, anything. I also love the unpredictability of the Gelli plate. It creates marks and shadows and shapes. It's subtleties that I would never think of intentionally. Those little surprises often become some of my favorite collage papers. Not because they're performing or they have an interesting rhythm. They're quiet, they're subtle, and you have to look at them for a while to appreciate what they hold, especially this beautiful dark or medium dark blue. It's one of my favorite ways as well to explore different ratios of tones together to create muted tones. The Gelli plate is a great place to do this. You should give it a try if you haven't already. As I look at my papers, I can already feel something beginning to shift. They're quieter, they're more layered. maybe they're more honest. I'm less interested in them becoming beautiful, but more being true to what I'm looking for in that mysterious element of water. Maybe a memory. I'm not sure. But they're closer to the energy that I've been wanting and searching for. They're not finished, they're just closer. I don't know exactly where this thread will lead. That's part of the joy of following it. For now, I'll simply keep listening and keep noticing and keep responding, one quiet, soulful layer at a time. Until next time, stay curious, slow down, and follow what keeps returning.